Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanet Hadi Jana Vallabha Girivanet Hadi Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanet Hadi Jana Vallabha Girivanet Hadi Yasoda Nandana Brajagana Ranjana Nana Brajagana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Brajagana Ranjana Nana Brajagana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachadi Lavanachadi Yamuna Tira Vanachadi Lavanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanet Hadi Lava Girivanet Hadi Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanet Hadi Jana Vallabha Girivanet Hadi Yasoda Nandana Brajagana Ranjana Nandana Brajagana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Brajagana Ranjana Nandana Brajagana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachadi Lavanachadi Yamuna Tira Vanachadi Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Bhagavacharya Satarya Satashishi Mata's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Guru Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sikoshi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki ISKCON Founder Srila Prabhupada Ki Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Navadvip Dham Ki Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Ganga Mai Ki Tulsi Devi Ki Bhakta Devi Ki Shishi Radha Golokananda Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. So we're going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, text chapter 64, 30 and 31. We're in a transition here. Change of dialogue. What's on the screen? What'd you say? Oh, the microphone. Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. All right. Yukva. We'll go word for word here. Yukva tam parikrama. Yukva tam parikrama. Padal Spisva Sva Malina Padal Spisva Sva Malina Ajunato Vimanagriyam Anunato Vimanagriyam Arahat Pashyatam Nirnam Arhat Pashyatam Nirnam Yukvatam Parikramaya Parikramya Padash Risvasva Malina Anujanto Vimanagrayam Arhat Pashyatam Nirnam Yukvatam Parikramya Pradash Vasvas Pradash Prisvasva Malina Anujanto Vimanagriyam Arhat Pashyatam Nirnam Yukvatam Parikramya Padash Visvasva Malina Anunjato Vimanagriyam Arhat Pashyatam Nirnam. Okay. Yukvatam Parikramya Yukvatam Parikramya iti. Thus, ukpa, having spoken, tam, him, parikrama, circumambulating, pada, his feet, sritva, touching, sva, with his, malina, crown, anujanta, given leave, vimana, a cessal airplane, agram, Argram. You got it? Excellent. Aruhat. He boarded. Pashatam. As they watched. Nirnam. Humans. Translation. Having spoken thus, Maharaj Nriga circumambulated Lord Krishna and touched his crown to the Lord's feet. Granted permission to depart, King Nriga then boarded a wonderful celestial airplane as all the people present looked on. So let's repeat this. Having spoken thus, Maharaj Nriga circumambulated Lord Krishna and touched his crown to the Lord's feet. Granted permission to depart, King Nriga then boarded a wonderful celestial airplane as all the people present looked on. Okay, so very short commentaries, no commentaries really, just a couple of one lines from the Acharyas, but I'll read those. So Vishwanath says that Krishna gave him permission to leave, instructing him by saying, after enjoying, you will attain me. So this is actually a couple of verses back. He was going to he wanted to go to the heavenly planets. So this is encompassing all that. So Jiva Goswami said he departed while people looked on in astonishment. And then Sanata said he mounted the best vehicle given by the Lord as people looked on in astonishment. Still, he immediately departed. They looked at him, in astonishment. But he still, even though in that condition he left. And then he quoted something. There's a quote here that he says, he should have delayed at that time. So I don't know who he's quoting, but it's in quotes. So, and then he was sent by the Lord. So we're going to go to 31, and we'll talk about these. So this is a transition. So here it's circumambulated the Lord. Here we have Krishna starts to speak. So Krishna Parigyana Praya Bhagavan Devaki Sutai Pramanya Devo Dharmatma Rajanyan Anusikashyan. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, the son of Devaki, who is especially devoted to the Brahmins and who embodies the essence of religion, then spoke to his personal associates and thus instructed the royal class in general. So Jiva Goswami has a comment here. Though he is Swayam Bhagavan, he spoke to his close associates to show the result of offending a Brahmin. This is what he's going to speak about in this rest of this chapter, about 12 verses left. Since he was a son of Devaki, performing human pastimes like birth and accepting them as his associates, he was the best of all, Deva, who had appeared to benefit the Brahmins. Not only was he the establisher of Dharma, he was the establisher of all Dharmas, Dharmatma. Since they are his followers, what is the use of teaching them? It is like grinding what is already ground. He spoke to teach other Kshatriyas who were present. So why is he giving this information if these are all pure devotees? They all have his association. But the point is made out here, but they're not all. There's some sadhakas who made it to that point in their sadhana. So they're not all, pure devotees. Some of them achieved that, just like in Vrindavan. You got all these gopis, cowherd boys, all these. Some of them were associates that came with them from Vrindavan, and some of them are going to be like all of you one time. You're going to get there, and you're going to be part of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan if that's where you want to go. So you're going to be a part of that assembly. So this is messages for them and us. So Sanatana Goswami. Krishna spoke to the Adhus using logic and proofs in order to teach all Kshatriyas by his own conduct and to teach by the example of Mriga, since he was Dharma itself, or the cause of Dharma, and the best for the Brahmins and devotees. Since he was a son of Devaki, full of powers, Bhagavan, and attractor of the hearts of even sages. So, Omiganda Timarandasya, Gananjana Shalakaya, Chakshur Omli Tamdena, Tajmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So in text 31, he says, here's a description. He's like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Krishna, that God's the original, and the son of Devaki. So we have all these personal attributes that is associated, who he is, defining him, and relationship to the universe on a personal level and with his devotees. So all these three have been mentioned here. So one of the things that was kind of interesting here was in the previous verse, 2 verses ago, he requested to go to the planet of the demigods. Here he is with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He got delivered, and then he's still got a life to live. So he's asking to go, leave this place and go to the planet of the demigods, his current location. And so, and then Sanatana Jiva Goswami points out that after enjoying, right, it's brought out that then he will attain me. Krishna says this. After enjoying there, then you will attain me. So he'll finish his life off in that way. And it's different for different people. That might not be the situation for everybody. And we see that in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Some associates, they tell them to stay in married life, take care of your parents, and some people he tells them to take sannyas. So the instructions are based on a personal, it's a personal instruction based on each individual's personality and where they're at. And we see this often. We see that not just with King Nigra, but when Dhruva came, meditated, he attained the Lord, and then it wasn't like an airplane came and take him back to Vaikuntha right then. Like this airplane came, the arrangement was made, and it took him to a heavenly planet. But his success was already assured. He was there. And so Dhruva was, of course, when he saw the Lord, he was wanting to have a kingdom greater than his father, and then he realized what he was praying for, the mistake. He was actually, wanting something. It was like glass. It was described, instead of wanting something even higher than a relationship with the Supreme Lord. After seeing him, he realized his mistake. And so then he went back to his kingdom, and then at one point, the airplane came to take him back to Vaikuntha. But then he wanted his mother to come, too. He didn't want to go because he kind of gave her credit for his success. It was due to her because she pointed him in the right direction. And then he got more refined instructions from Narada Muni. So that process is there. And then similarly, Prahlad Maharaj didn't want any benedictions when he met the Lord. But the Lord gave him one benediction, that he would be king. And then he was the rule in this material world, the demons. He would be there not only at the present time, but in the future. So we're being taught, give up material enjoyment. Because of our conditioned nature, we're so engrossed in material life. You know, we have no dharma, we have no good, we're a product of an uncivilized society. And we're trying to transition from that. It's hard to sometimes think of us as being uncivilized, but the whole society, you can just look at it, how crazy it is. It's completely uncivilized. And we know from Bhagavad Gita, there's only two classes of people, either a demon or a devotee. And to see all these people in the material world, and practically they're classified as demons because of their uncivilized behavior, eating meat, all this, intoxications, it's just on and on and on. And of course, they're miserable. Everybody's miserable. And they're seeking happiness in all these different things. And so it's kind of, sometimes when you see a demon, of course, growing up, you think a demon is someone that has horns. You have this image of a Christian image of Christ and, demoniac. But so oftentimes you can't not recognize. Even Hiranyakasipu, who was probably one of the biggest demons that ever lived, it described that when Brahma gave him, after he came and gave him all these benedictions, he had a body that was beautiful, massive, golden complexion. It was described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Hiranyakasipu. So to look at him, you can't necessarily look at somebody and, sometimes there's that term, was that a book? You can judge a book by its cover, is that the? Yeah. Yeah. And so that's not always the case, So that's passing judgment. Sometimes you can tell by an actions of a person more than you can tell by the way they look, because sometimes the looks can be confusing. So we have, and we have situations like Shivananda Sain had a dog that was going with him to Mayapur. They were traveling. And he left the dog. He was making arrangements for all the travelers when they were traveling. He made all the accommodations for everybody. He took the cost of all of that. Apparently he was in a condition economically where he can afford to take care of everything for the devotees traveling to Navadvip every year. So he had a dog with him. And he was taking care of this dog, and he had to go do something. He left the dog with someone to take care of, but then the dog left. And he came back, the dog was gone. He wasn't all that happy, but this dog made his way to Mayapur and got the association of Lord Chaitanya. All right, so this Lord Chaitanya gave this dog something, told him to chant some prasadam, and told him to chant Krishna, and they did. And then they had a plane come and take this dog to Vaikuntha. So you never know what the situation that would arise, where the necessity would be. In New Vrindavan, it was a dog. And this dog was called Muchi. Because the devotees would think dogs are all Muchi. I think I've told this story before. Dogs are Muchi by nature. They're dirty, and the dog would be just a street dog and just hang around. Just, get out of here, Muchi, go, like that. So Prabhupada was visiting, and here's Muchi, and the dog, get away, Muchi. And Prabhupada said, no, he's a devotee. You don't treat him, that dog. You don't treat, it's a kind of amazing lesson. And how that one comment changed the entire mentality of a whole community and how they looked at that dog. And unfortunately, if you've been to New Vrindavan, you got Bahulaban there and you got the road real close. The dog was hit by a vehicle. And so the devotees, they got a garland, they put a garland on the dog, and they chanted Hare Krishna. This is all because of Prabhupada, the mercy he has, not for all living entities. So we just, you can see the difference of the gap of what a pure, unalloyed devotee is and a sadhaka is, So sometimes you just, it's not always this traveling, and even these airplanes, the conditions in which they come. And there's, Gopal Kumar would travel from airplane, from the planet when he had in the material world, and then he took they got him on an airplane when he went to Mahakala. And then after that, he traveled by his mind. He would be in, like, even Mahakala. When he left Mahakala, he came back to Vrindavan. And this was all, he just closed his eyes, and then he woke back up, and he was in Vrindavan. And so, therefore, then he went back to Vaikuntha. He went to Mahakala, which is, and spoke with Lord Shiva. That was almost the impersonal. He almost became drawn into, after passing through all the different layers of the universe. And that's a whole big story there. He made it to Mahakala, which is the impersonal Brahmajyoti. And he almost got sucked into it, but then he heard a kirtan. Of course, Krishna is all along the ways helping him in his whole journey. He's right there, Krishna's the protector, protecting his devotee, he says. And so we see that he does this. So then he goes even back to Vaikuntha, and then he comes back. And this is all by the power of mind. So there was, even when he finally got to Goloka Vrindavan, he described he was in Vrindavan here, and he, because of his ecstasy, passed out and fell in the Yamuna. And then when he crawled out of the Yamuna, he was in Goloka Vrindavan. So the ways to travel, they're different. Krishna is unlimited in how he can bestow his mercy and how people can manage to get. And similarly, Ajamil, he didn't go back immediately. He called on the name of Narayan. That saved him from the Yamadunas, but then he had to go to Hardwar. He had to perform some sadhana. He had to perfect himself a little bit. And then an airplane came and took him. So these stories in Srimad Bhagavatam, so how it's going to happen to each individual, there's probably, it's described that when a devotee perfects, I'm not going to say we, because I don't know if I'll ever make it there, but to get to Krishna Loka, that first off, you go to a planet in the material world where those pastimes are going on. So how we move around is not quite clear, but what is we take birth, even, we describe somehow how we take birth from one body to another. That when we perfect our lives, we get to the stage of bhava. That we can do on our own with the association of devotees by constantly chanting and reading and hearing. Shravanam, Kirtan is the primary process. That when you leave your body, you take birth in the material world, but it's in a planet where Krishna's pastimes are about to take place in in Vrindavan. So you're born in the womb of a gopi, if that's what your desire is, to be a cowherd boy or a gopa or a gopi. And then you just naturally grow up with Krishna from birth. This is in the material world, just like what happened, what we read about all these devotees. They're not all pure devotees, some of them are sadhakas. And we read in here where Krishna is teaching not just as the Yadavas who are those pure devotees, but those who weren't, those other associates there that are hanging around and come to that platform in Dwarka. So then it's a seamless, like in the Gopal Champu, it describes how at that end of that, when Krishna leaves, he takes everybody with it. And he's winding up his pastimes. He's simultaneously in Mathura and Dwarka. So when he winds up his pastimes in Dwarka, he leaves also and takes all those sadhakas with him. So moving around is a little bit, he's, and the fact that he's going to be enjoying in the material world, there's this worry, I'm thinking, of course, because of my own contaminated conscience, I'm going to fall back into, if I get into this enjoying mood, this is going to be, we're trying to transition from that. I'm trying to avoid that, not get back into it. But we see here when these people have perfected their sadhana, that Krishna is perfectly, not to the extent that the gopis are. Their destination is all Vaikuntha. He's going to go to Vaikuntha. The overwhelming majority of the stories we hear up to the 10th canto are all going to Vaikuntha at their perfection. When they get, even the demons, they're going to merge into the Lord. We taught, and if you want to be we've talked about this, to be a gopi, the intensity of desire that requires is this unmeasured. And it also describes if you hate Krishna, you can also get liberation. But the intensity of that desire has to be also extreme. Not that you're an atheist and that's going to do it for you. There's examples like Sisupal and some of these demons who really, really, really hated Krishna, their intensity, and so then they were killed by Krishna. That's not the path we want to take, that envious path. We want to take the loving path. It's so much more enjoyable. But here we have Krishna now is going to talk to the assembly here about how bad it is to steal from a Brahmin. So the Varnashram system is something that he established. He laid this out. This begins in Treta Yuga. Satya Yuga, there's no need for Varnashram. Even though it's described that Hiranyakasipu, that incident began in Satya Yuga. And obviously, I believe it was at the end of Satya Yuga. I don't know what Manvatar, because we have Kardama Muni and Devahuti in Satya Yuga meditating, but that was with Swayambhuva Manu, which was her father. So we know that he's the first Manvatar. We're now in the seventh Manvatar. I can't tell you right off the bat who our current Manvatar is, but it's the seventh one. So which one of those Manvatar, if it's this current one, but still Satya Yuga is pretty clean, pretty pure. There's no vices, and he was able to achieve. But there's a transition between each yuga. It's not like it's okay, like in a calendar, it's June, July. There tends to be a transition it describes with these Manvatars. It's an overlapping. You have the new guy, sometimes their son of the previous Manvatar is going to take the kingdom, even in kings. A person that's grown up, trained up to be the king, the son of the king. So it's like a seamless transition from one to the other. Not always, because you have sometimes, you always got exceptions to the rules. Somebody comes in and wipes everybody out. Or the brother kills off everybody and takes over, and you have always these different demoniac things. But the point here, Brahmins are pretty powerful. This is, let's say, 5,000 years ago. I mean, they were someone to be reckoned with. You didn't, it's the topmost position in human society. Extremely intelligent people, extremely powerful. And so if you're a Sudra or somebody, you definitely got out of their way. If you're a lower class, you didn't cast your shadow on a Brahmin because what they could do to you, there was this little bit of a fear that, you didn't want to insult a Brahmin, you didn't want to take a Brahmin's cow, you don't want to get, make one of them mad because the reactions, and this is what he's going to talk about in the rest of these verses. Also in, a Brahmin, these Brahmins had these mystic yogas, these cities. And I will read here from the 11th canto what these are. Let's give a little idea as we go into here how powerful they were. Of course, they got trained up right from very young. I mean, we have Brahmin initiation now, but that Brahmin initiation is primarily so we can do deity worship. And there's all kinds of Brahmins. There's not, This is chapter 15 of the 11th canto. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead has said the masters of the yoga system have declared that there are 18 types of mystic perfection and meditation, of which 8 are primary. Having their shelter in me, and 10 are secondary, appearing from the material modes of goodness. So Brahmas are oftentimes considered to be situated in that mode of goodness. And they're all, and we have time with it. Brahmins accept charity. They don't serve anybody else. Kshatriyas take their taxes, their means of existence. Brahmins live off charity. Kshatriyas take in the form of taxes. And then merchants, Vaishyas are merchants, and Sudras to serve everybody else. That's the basic varnashram. But in an emergency condition, it says that you can't work for somebody else. A Brahmin can work for but a Kshatriya can never take service from anybody. They take, a qualified Kshatriya would just levy taxes because they give protection. Whether it's a village, a city, a town, a community, in a varnashram society, they're the ones that provide protection, whether they live in a village, whatever, and that's how they. It's not a criminal type thing, it's an organized type stuff. You have like in the mafia or whatever, and you have these stories where in the cities where they'll go and they'll have to they'll go to businessmen and they got to pay you for protection. That protection is from other criminals. We'll give you protection. Where you have the police are supposed to be protecting, they and this happens, these criminals, these aren't what we're talking about. Okay, so here we'll read the purport here. That was 3. No, we're going to read 5. Among the 8 primary mystic perfections, the 3 by which one transforms one's own body are anima, becoming smaller than the smallest, mahima, becoming greater than the greatest, and laghima, becoming lighter than the lightest. To perfection of prapti, one acquires whatever one desires, and through parikrama, city, one experiences any enjoyable object, either in this world or the next. To Ishta city, one can manipulate the sub-potencies of Maya, and through controlling potency called Vasita city, one is unimpeded by the 3 modes of nature. One who has acquired Kamavasyati city can obtain anything from anywhere to the highest possible limit. My dear gentle Uddhava, these 8 mystic perfections are considered to be naturally existing and unexcelled within this world. So we can see that those, and Kshatriyas have these, attain these too, because they also like Hiranyakashipu. He got every one of them from Brahma after he performed. He performed an austerity that so severe that nobody has been able to attain that, and nobody will, it's described, will ever be able to perform that much austerity, and he attained that much power. Of course, Brahma was lectured by the Lord that don't do this again. Don't give this kind of power to anybody else. He gave him unlimited, almost unlimited power. So we can see that those Brahmas who are educated this much, and they were and through austerity, because that's what Brahmas perform. That's one of the qualities of a Brahman. They perform austerity. They're in the mode of goodness. This is what they do. They educate other people, and then they perform, huge amount of meditation in Sati Yoga, sacrifices and Treta Yoga, deity worship and Vapara Yoga. They're engaged in these activities. They're the ones that are doing all these activities. If you want to perform a sacrifice, you call a Brahmin in to do it. If you want to do a 100-horse sacrifice, it's a Brahmins are going to come and do these sacrifices. They're capable of doing this. And in the case of Prithu Maharaj, when Indra was trying to interrupt it, they had the ability to. Prithu wanted to kill him. Said, "No, you don't do it because you're doing the sacrifice. It's for you. We'll kill him with a sound weapon. We'll take care of Indra." They have this power. This is the power, and we see so many people being cursed by the Brahmins. Arisasura, the bull, right? Krishna kills the bull. All these demons were cursed to be in this condition. Gargamuni describes that Arisasura in his previous life was a disciple of Brihaspati. This is in Ganga Samhita. You can read. It has all. He gives the backstories of these different demons, and he's decided to sit in front of his spiritual master with his legs pointing straight out. I guess he would just relax back somewhere and just point his legs, feet at the Brihaspati. You know, these are powerful. You know, and he said, oh, okay, if you want to, as a disciple. It's the guru's responsibility to discipline the disciple, to train him up. That's why they get initiated. So he said, if you want to sit like a bull, then you can become a bull. And so he became the demon. Of course, when you get cursed like that, there's always this remorse. And typically what happens is, if it's someone like Brihaspati, these powerful Brahmins, then they can make an adjustment. But you will get the mercy of Krishna in that life. It will end in that life. So there's some, you know, it's for really powerful Brahmins, it's they can also make it end well, you know. So anybody got any questions, any comments? We can talk a little bit about here on the 7th canto. The last 3 or 4 chapters of that canto talks about the social orders, Varnashram. Talked about what a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishyas. There's a chapter of how women should be in society. There's a chapter about how civilized people are, what a civilized society is like. So these last 3 or 4 chapters break all these things down. Yeah, Drisha was asking, you have seen so many people that even practicing for so many years, not achieving perfection, but then when they get older, get sick, they seem to, sometimes they can get the mercy, or sometimes the process accelerates a little bit because the desire accelerates a lot then. Death is on the doorstep, so you're thinking a lot more intensely about the condition that you're in. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, even at the hour of one's death, right? If you're thinking about me, there's perfection. And then Krishna can just give it. Sadhana siddhi, there's 2 types of siddhis, perfection. Sadhana and kripa. Kripa is like instant, like the dog. Krishna just gave it to him. Back to Vaikuntha. That's one example. But we're all waiting for that, hopefully. Even our condition, our sinful condition life, we're looking for mercy. Please be merciful. Even though we're not perfect. He was living a life of a lizard, you know, and he got perfection by mercy. He got the mercy. So Kripa Siddhi is instant mercy, like that. Sadhana Siddhi is like us. We got the mercy. We came in touch with the Bhagavad Gita, a devotee, and we're given a method by how we can attain perfection. And sometimes it might take a few lifetimes. So the example is given, an analogy that Acharyas give us is you can have, somebody can give you a plate of prasada and enjoy. Or they can give you the recipe, all the ingredients, the cooking utensils, everything it takes to attain that exact same prasada. You can get the same result, but you have to, here's how you do it. The end result is the same. Enjoying that plate of prasada. Okay. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you very much.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindanalayataksam Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Kagom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Pasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adipurusham
Gopiparanadana Madana Manohara Gopiparanadana Madana Manohara Kalia Damona Vidana Kalia Damona Vidana Amalaharina Mamia Vilasa Amalaharina Mamia Vilasa Vipina Purandara Navina Nagarabura Vansivadana Suvasa Gopina Purandara Navina Nagaraburam Pansivadana Suvasa Brajajana Palana Surakulana Sana Brajajana Palana Surakulana Sana Kananudana Rakoyala Nanda Nanda Godanara Koala Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Sundarananda Gopala Sundarananda Gopala Jamnatachara Govivazanahara Rasarasika Kripamoya Jamnatachara Govivazanahara Rasarasika Kripamoya Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Nadavara Haribo Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Nadavara Amala Harinam Amiya Vilasa Govinda Madhava Navanita Daskara Sundaran Nagopala Sundara Nanda Gopala Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaura Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Bol Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Bol Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Bol Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Bol, Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Bol. Hey. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Jayo Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radhi Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Haribo Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Prabhupada
Lord Krishna is beloved son of Yashoda, transcendental lover in the land of Braj, the delight of Gokula, known by the nickname Kanna, the wealth of the lives of the gopis, the attractor of Cupid, and punisher of the serpent Kaliya. These pure holy names of Lord Hari nectarian pastimes, Lord of the 12 forests of Braj, ever youthful, the best of lovers, player of the flute and excellent dresser, protector of the inhabitants of Braj, destroyer of demoniac dynasties, keeper and tender of Nanda's cows, giver of pleasure to cows, land, and spiritual senses, husband of the goddess of fortune, butter thief and beautiful little cowherd boy of Nandamara, riverbanks, thief of the garments of the gopis, enjoyer of the mellows of the rasa dance, very merciful, lover and beloved of Sri Radha, the great dancer of Vrindavan, and the only shelter of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Chaitodarpana marjanam bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahudan Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita niyamita smaranena kala. Etadrishita vakripa bhagavan mamapi. Durdaiva midrishami hajjanina nuraga. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi suhishuna. Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam vajagadisha kamaye. Mama janmani janmani ishvare. Bhavatad bhaktir ahoitaki twai. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram. Patitam nam mishameva bambudau. Kripayata vabada pankaja. Stita duli sadrashim vachintaya. Nayanam galashu daraya. Varanam gadgadarudaya gira. Pulakarnishitam vabhukada. Tavanamagrahane bhavishyati. Yugayatam namishena. Chakshusha pravashayatam. Shunayatam jagat sarvam govindam virahename. Ashlishyavabadamritam anastumam adarshanam marma hatakarotuva. Yatatatava vidadatu lampato mat pranatastusa eva napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O mighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears flowing constantly when I chant your holy